It is a journey through the Bible with the Mukhwana Isaac. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. In the very first place, we want to thank God for the gift of life, for how far He has brought us. Let us continue spreading this message by subscribing and, of course, by sharing with other people. Yesterday, we looked at the religious rebirth of Israel, and today I want us to conclude this with the importance of the exile in the history of the Israelites, and also the exile having lessons to us. What lessons do we draw from this episode as Christians? The exile was an occasion for the nation to make a real examination of conscience, to examine history in the light of the covenant of Sinai, to see and admit their sins, and thus make the coming of better times come sooner. Israel once more understood her vocation. The sufferings of the exile had purified and deepened their faith. The prophets had constantly called for sincerity in devotion and for a change of heart. They assured every individual that it was possible to find God. Living in pagan land, they began to understand that salvation was for all nations. Yes, they began to study and pray the scriptures more and to group themselves around the priesthood. In this way, they became more a religious community rather than a mere nation. And so, by understanding God's plan behind their suffering and the value in accepting their sufferings, the people were prepared for an understanding of God's ways and the coming of a suffering servant. And so, on their return to Judah, the exiles took with them a deeper faith and a more spiritual religion than had their ancestors on their exodus. On their exodus event from Egypt, the exile had a new and important step in carrying out of the mystery of salvation. And briefly, that is what we could share on the importance of the exile in history. It changed them. Yes. So let us conclude with the lessons we draw from this exile as Christians, as believers who do exist today. God does not want us to die spiritually and as sinners, as people who are fallible, but to be converted to Him and live by His own life. The exile teaches us that when He sends trials and sufferings, He does not make us grow spiritually. Yes, we know that in everything God works for those who love Him. We read this in Romans chapter 8, verse 28. The lesson of the exile is the same as the lesson of the cross. The mystery of sufferings that leads to life. Was it not necessary that the Christ should suffer these things and enter into glory. Luke chapter 24 verse 26. Christ the servant of God suffered and thus brought us life. If we want to continue to grow in the divine life, we also, like the exiles and like Christ, must accept our sufferings, turn away from ourselves and the spiritual death that this selfishness brings, so that united with Christ we will be turned to God and will thus find our glorification and union in Him. But every time we see the small cross comes and we run away, we are running away from good times. I have been Mukhwana Isaac with a journey through the Bible. Let us encourage each other with these words. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Be blessed.